Hey everybody, how are you? Okay. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? I'm going to adjust levels. Yeah? Yeah, oh. Okay. Yeah, sometimes, you know, that's the way it is. And it's just like, oh my God, thanks for subscribing, Susan. And I saw Kenny, people are renewing their memberships and it feels great. And I'm so glad, I really appreciate you. You know that's true. I will say it many times. I will say it over and over. I'm gonna take the jazz down just a titch. Just a titch. Yeah, the music is gonna, this is kind of a change. We thought we'd keep the jazz a little. That's something people do. If it's distracting, we won't do it. I'm gonna take it down a little bit more, so I don't get distracted. You know, but a little mood music. I don't know. I think it could be good. We'll see. Everybody, it's great to see you. We did a hype train. That's amazing. Christine, Dana, Threadist, Padma. It's weird. It says there's 10 people here, but I know that there are more because I see you. Gamer Granny, thank you for subscribing. We appreciate you. That's a little champagne cork for you. Quilty Mouse and SJ. It's amazing with the music. Well, if SJ says it is, then it is. We keep it. I could take a poll. I know how to do polls real good these days. So, okay, everybody. So if you were here on Thursday, exciting things are afoot. There's a foot joke, but it's not good. I'm gonna do some new stuff. And the first thing is that I'm gonna do the intro quilt like almost with no delay. It's true, we're just gonna talk about the quilt behind me because that's what we talk about on this show. We talk about quilts. And probably what will happen is that like during the waiting room time, I'll like making a video that like tells you about like how to subscribe and what you get with your subscription and sort of like a opening credits kind of thing. And then maybe without even seeing my face, I'll just jump in with the quilt. Hey, Jam Make Stuff. Woo! And so, you know, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try just doing that because, and there's other announcements. There's other things to tell you, exciting and new. But for now, let me tell you about the quilt behind me, and then we'll get into everything else. It's Saturday night. Okay, I have to do what I said and tell you about the quilt first before I tell you all the other things. All right, I'm really, really glad that you're here. Okay, so, and I have chips. Oh, and Dana cheered. Okay, that's great. I love the cheers. Feel free to cheer. Thank you to all my mods. Okay, let's talk about this quilt just to get us to wet our whistle. So this quilt is very interesting, I think. I mean, I chose it. Better be. This quilt is a Quaker quilt, and I want to show you. I had another quilt that I was going to use, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it because when I put it up on the screen, and I'll tell you why. Because it looked sort of drab. Thanks for the cheers. Appreciate the cheers. This is the quilt that I had, and I'll come back to the other one. It was this. And it's a very interesting quilt, and it's very cool, but it's kind of drab, you know? And I have this gray hoodie on, and there's a reason why I have this on. Because I needed something to wear. I needed a shirt. That's the other change. The show will be topless. Starting next week. I was like, in May, I'm gonna try it. Goose the numbers, you know what I'm saying? No, just kidding. But so I picked this quilt. I think it's really interesting. It's a quilt made by a Quaker girl. And I was like, oh, I want to know more about Quaker quilts, so let's do it. But then I just didn't like it. And so, hey, Sonia, it felt like sweets. The gang's all here. I love it. So yeah, exactly, Estelle. Threadis, thank you for keeping Estelle in our community. So I can tell you more about that, and I will. Because in fact, I know more about that quilt than I know about this one. But this quilt is also made by a Quaker person. And this quilt is, they're both silk. And I think that's pretty awesome. Texas Mima, thank you for subscribing. We appreciate you. Hang on. Champagne for you. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And you know, we're sort of doing this format, kind of monkeying with the format. But when we get to 200 subscribers, I'm giving away a quilt. And I've sort of, you know, I've retreated, I've, you know, strategized. But we will get there. And when we get there, someone's going to win a quilt. A subscriber will win a quilt. A quilt room? Maybe it's tonight. Maybe, Eric, we may have to draw for that quilt tonight. We'll see. That'd be amazing. I would love to do that. Okay. So this quilt is, it's silk. It's at the American Museum of, Pem, you gifted the sub. That's so awesome. Thank you so much. It's kept at the American Museum and Gardens in Bath, England. So that is pretty cool. Another hype train. Amazing. It's amazing. That's so cool. I don't know who Donna Jordan is, SJ, but I think I know what her color palette is because apparently, as SJ said, it looks like Donna Jordan's color palette. It's a really nice one. I mean, this, I assume it's faded. I assume it's faded because this quilt was made all by hand. It's hand pieced and hand quilted. Square in a square is how it's described, and it was made between 1835 and 1850. The maker is unknown. It's all silk. I think I said it. And so what's interesting is, like, I know that silk flakes. Like, silk can be, it gets sort of like dry, I guess, and it flakes away. I mean, it rots. I guess it rots in the sun for sure. And I suppose depending on the quality of it, I like the pops of blue too, exactly. So depending on plenty of factors, it's going to deteriorate, as all quilts will, if not properly maintained. But I don't know, I mean, the fading, like when I look at a quilt from 1835, from the middle of the 19th century that's really faded, we all know that like certain greens will fade to this beige color, which I actually don't mind. In fact, I would call this a dun color in certain places. Dun, D-U-N. Do I get the nerd apple for that? I might. You don't hear that word too often. Well, maybe you do because you make quilts. I'm not that special, which I know. But but what's interesting is, like, I don't know how silk fades, really. Does it fade in the same way? Dun, dun, dun. That's really... Well done. Well done. Yeah. Yeah. It's very good. It's very good, word and bird nerd. You're in the lead. You're in the lead. So it's interesting because I don't know if these dun colors, these beiges, these faded looking colors are the colors she used, or if they're faded. And of course, anyone who's well versed in quilt appraisal or fabric history and you know, textile experts could instantly tell us, but I don't know. So if one of you know, as Jay Pepper says, I agree, this quilt is done. It's very good. But someone commented on the greens and the blues. I mean, the thing is, like, faded or not, you know, it doesn't matter, right? It's a beautiful quilt, and it is a great color palette. You know, these neutrals, these browns, and brown can be really tough, you know, like I once challenged myself to make a quilt using brown, because what was interesting about the brown fabric that I had a lot of brown. And I was like, why do I have all this brown? But I love scrap quilts. I only make scrap quilts when I make quilts. Those years ago when I used to make them. And I buy fat. So I buy fat quarters. Whenever I buy fabric, I don't buy lots of yards of it because I like to use all kinds of fabrics. And I realized going through, when I was sorting all my stash and like giving stuff away, I realized that I had a lot of brown because I like small prints. I like small scale prints, little calicos, little, you know, ditzy prints and mill engravings and things. Ditzy print, you know, ditzy print? Oh, well done. Yes, very, very good, Padma. Well done. Everyone's got them. Everyone's got a funny line to share. So that was an interesting discovery, because I was like, a lot of brown, you know, is used as like a blender fabric, and so there's a lot of small prints with the brown. But I used it with red, and it was really great. All those browns with a red, and I think this is a really nice color scheme as well. I think this is really cool. This is really cool. So it's Quaker. Okay, so here is what. Here's what this quilt is. And the thing is, I can tell you more about this because it's in the Smithsonian. Well, although they didn't say that much about it either. They just sort of said, like just described the quilt. But I can tell you that it was made by Elizabeth Smedley. In the United States. It's silk. And it's pretty cool. I mean, let's see, did I do detailed? Okay. It's 1890 to 1891. I mean, the quilting is like really nice. Museum of American History, Smithsonian. And it was made for the trousseau of her niece. Pem Burrito says, add yourself to the Quilt Nerd directory. Oh yes, thank you for highlighting that message. Thank you, Pem. Is it really black and white? No. In fact, it is brown and gray. Like it is not faded as far as I know. Let me grab the link. Smithsonian. Quaker. No. Oh, Museum. American History. Yep. So yeah, it's brown. I mean, Now I'm doubting myself, but I know they did say gray. Well, darn it. Oh, Smedley. Here we are. I mean, I didn't search for Smedley at any other time today, so it came up. It came up in my history. Okay, here we go. This is the link to it. Yeah. So anyway, so what I did was, because we have these two Quaker quilts. Yes, she's a Quaker, exactly. And so here I printed off just like a little bit of Quaker quilt history. Look, I look like I'm in jail. So this is from Arch Street House in 2021, and Arch Street House is a community center that was in the Quaker community from like, I don't know, 1691 or something like that up until last year when it became, well, it's on the National Historic Register now, and so it's a beautiful website. Arch Street House, really lovely. So here's what I want to tell you just about Quakers and quilts. So this comes from them. Okay, historically, mean, I don't know. I know this quilt is great, but I feel like this one, I just kind of want this one on the screen while I read you a thing. Okay. So historically, Quakers are known as having been much more progressive than their contemporaries when it came to women's rights. Quakers shared the belief that men and women were all equal in the eyes of God. An unusual conviction that compelled Quakers to play important roles in the women's rights movement of the late 18th to mid-19th century. Yet, despite their long-held views of equality amongst men and women, Quaker women had little place in the professional sphere beyond their responsibilities in the church. You know what? I don't really like Quakers after all. No, I'm kidding. As Quaker women have pushed the boundaries of their traditional roles in American society, they've formed charity organizations using needlework and quilting in order to provide an opportunity for work and autonomy for other women. Look at these. I can't tell if these wild things. It is in Philly, Bonnie, and hello, Bonnie, to you. Oh. Is this flaked? Are these blocks flaky with silk, or is that some crazy fabric? I don't know. It's very hard to tell, and I can't get any closer on the thing. It's not high res enough. Okay, so the other paragraph, the last thing here is that since most women in America knew how to make quilts during the 18th and 19th centuries, they were an important part of Quaker women's influence in charity. One of Philadelphia's most prominent Quaker philanthropists, Anne Parrish, founded the Female Society for the Relief and Poor in 1795. And they talk about, and I think they donated quilts and rugs and things to raise money and all that stuff, especially for the widows and the orphans, obviously. Molly, Quakers. Okay, here's the question. L. Riggs, hello. The Quakers are the Shakers who were celibate. The Shakers. I think it's the Shakers. Arch Street is a famous street in Center City, Bonnie. Those names are both like the opposite of celibate sounding, quaking and shaking. You know what? We know why we have the siren. It's real. Okay, so that's the intro quilt. That's what I wanted to tell you about that. So it's a fun show tonight. Super, super fun. And here's the big announcement, the main thing, okay? The main thing. And I'll put an official announcement on the Discord, and I'll be changing like all of the video on demand. It's going to be a big job, but the video on demands that stay on my Twitch channel and the YouTube videos of past shows that are on YouTube, I gotta go into all those shows and make sure that the description for the show reflects this change. And the change is that the show will be on twice a week, on Tuesday night and Saturday night. And the Thursday show is going away. And the reason that it is going away is because I have to live. No, I have to live, but there's a lot of reasons why. I want to grow the channel, and the channel is amazing. And because we have this nugget of amazing, it's proof of concept, right? I think this is a very good show. You are half of it, at least, right? We have this great time, and it's different, and it's great. And I know that there are more of you out there, and I want people to join us. And so with 3 shows a week, sometimes 4, I can't concentrate on pretty much anything else than content. I finally waved the white flag. I can't, doing any marketing, which I loathe anyway, is I have to cry uncle on it. And so it's been, 10 months of doing 3 shows a week, sometimes 4. And I feel like it's been boot camp content wise, and so many things. You have been there. So many of you have been here with me as I figured out the soundboard and every tech, and I still, the mic doesn't work sometimes, but the show will get better. I know that it's pruning. It's a little bit of pruning, because in the couple days I had off last week, I made 2 videos for YouTube, for example. And exactly, Kitty Hannah, it's so great. And so, silk. Oh, Padma's got good stuff about silk and the Quakers. So that's the deal. And my subscribers, you know, when you sign on to be a subscriber, it's like the best encouragement I have. And you get things with that. You get, you get an ad-free experience. You get to be entered in the drawings. You support the channel. You support the channel, help make the plane fly, and you get access to the Discord, which is super fun, and we really use it, and it's a great place to be. So you get all those things, and I hope, some people might be like, you know what, I signed up for 3 shows a week, this is a change, I'm not into it, but I think for a lot of people, it might be kind of, I don't want to say a relief, because you guys, we hang out, we hang out consistently week to week and show to show, just like I do with the live streams I like. But it's a lot of time. And so I think hopefully some folks will be like, you know what, it's actually good. Like, because if you're missing a lot of shows, because there's so many shows, you might not feel like it's worth it, right? So anyway, but also I can't do it. It's not sustainable because I get really anxious before every show and all of that stuff. So it's been fun every step of the way. Thank you so on Positive Threads. Thanks, Bonnie. I think it's really good. So, but yes, and so that's happening. But Quilters Newsletter Friday, it's not going anywhere. I gotta get small. Quilters Newsletter Friday is every other Friday. Until further notice, right? And so some weeks there will be 3 shows. And so Quilters Newsletter Friday, if you've never been here, if you don't know what it is, we read an old issue of Quilters Newsletter, page by page. And we don't read every word, and sometimes things get a little crazy. We're like, I don't know. I love it. The older issues are shorter, and the older issues are actually what we like, I think, overall. We read an issue from like 2011, and it was really full of ads, and that's kind of why we like to look at the older issues, because they have fewer ads, and there's more articles and stuff, and it's really interesting to see how far the quilt world has come, what's changed, what's better now, what's weird comparatively. And so, this is number 1. This is the number 1 Quilters Newsletter. And you know what? Look at that, 1969. Can you believe that? Look at that introductory sample issue. And it was literally a newsletter. It was a newsletter. So crazy, right? I think we should totally do number 1. I don't know if I have it though, y'all. Now I just got I got boxes of Quilters Newsletter magazines from a nerd. You know who you are. And I mentioned last show that I got a couple beautiful books, and thank you notes will be sent. And postcard, I got a postcard, a wonderful postcard too, actually. Anyway, so I got, maybe, because I didn't open the 3rd box of Quilters Newsletter magazines that I got from a nerd, maybe issue 1 is in there. I don't know, but it's a geek treat. A geek treat, exactly. Surely somebody can find it. Surely, oh, Kenny, you're so right. Courier font. I wonder, he says, if that was a typewriter or a daisy wheel printer. Yeah, I wonder that too. Are those letters hand cut? I think that they are. I think they're hand cut letters. And that is just the coolest, It's a zine, basically. Is it not? Is it not a zine? I think it's a zine. Quilt Church. Okay, so that's next Friday, the 5th of May, I think. So that's really great. So that's what's going on, is that starting next week, the shows are Tuesday and Saturday night. It's my favorite place to be. And speaking of where I am, we are up at the family cottage in Wisconsin. Eric and I came up to fix the internet. We had a plan that if we couldn't fix it, we were going to be able to get home to Chicago before this moment with you. But it totally worked. And everything is great. So we're here for a few days, which is amazing. So I'm really happy to be broadcasting live from the cottage. Okay, tonight's show is super fun. Like I said, let's get into it right now. Have I missed anything? I don't think so. Okay. Cheater fabric, exactly. Sibby Mac. The Internet Archive. Oh, that's a good idea. That might be there. It's true. Okay, that's a good idea. So here's what happened today as I was putting together the show. Speaking of the Internet Archive, oh, that's so weird. I mean, it's not that weird. We talk about the Internet Archive here sometimes, but I want to do full screen. No, what is that? Why are you doing that? View full screen. Okay. So yeah, but you just mentioned the Internet Archive, and what was the website that I went to? The Internet Archive. And if you don't know about the Internet Archive, it's archive.org. Archive.org houses the Internet Wayback Machine, where you can find old web pages for websites that are no more. Like I started my blog in 2006 and then like changed servers and stuff. But on the Internet Wayback Machine, I can find all of my old blog posts because this thing takes pictures of the web. It's very crazy and weird, and it's great. And they also have a lot of books and weird stuff that we've looked at before, some of it. But this is really interesting. And the way I found this, the Black Family Dinner Quilt Cookbook, and that's a Faith Ringgold quilt on the front of this cookbook. Sorry, I found it because I was listening to some music. Miss Eleni, hi. You're trying to watch while driving across Mexico, and it's a crack up. Just saying, don't try this at home. Be careful, be careful. So, and if you need tunes, let me recommend these tunes. So, Myra, it's so good to see you. Oh, okay. And Molly can get number 1, the Quilters newsletter number 1 through Interlibrary Loan if we can't find it. Okay. So I can't play much of this music because of copyright, but I know that if you play like less than 10 seconds, this is what is supposed to be true. If you play less than 10 seconds of a song, you're cool. So I was listening to music this afternoon, doing things, putting away groceries here at the house and working on the show. And I was listening to some like mid-century R&B, okay, such as Percy Mayfield. Lloyd Price. Roscoe Gordon. Oh, it's so good. I love this music so much. No more dogging, S.J. Pepper. Nope. No more. Okay, I can't play anymore. But anyway, so I was listening to that music and I was like, R&B quilts. I want to go looking. I want to go searching. Because we talk about quilts on the show, and the show, there's so much content from week to week. For God's sakes, it's been 10 months of doing 3 shows a week, you know, this boot camp. And like, it's so amazing how, I mean, half the time I don't get to everything I want to talk about. We look at quilts because quilts show us the whole world. And what's interesting is if you have any kind of inclination, like, I don't know, is there like a quilt that has paid homage to R&B music or something? Like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. The answer is that there are quilts about jazz musicians. There's quilts about, hey, Bonnie. Oh wait, I said hi to Bonnie, but I said there's 2 Bonnies, I think, in the chat tonight. Anyway, oh, Padma, if I do a music appreciation Twitch stream, you'll watch it. You know what I could do? Mark, hi. Oh no, Mark. Oh, Percy Mayfield. So you know what I could do in the Discord? I could do like a playlist. Let me put a playlist together. I'll do that. Let me put it on my notes. So yes, there are quilts about everything. There's quilts about everyone. I mean, so I was like, let me go see if I can find this little book I have, which is called the Jazz Quilt. And it's great. And I have it at home. I don't have it with me here, but we'll look at it. It's kind of a children's book that tells like the history of jazz in a quilt. It's so cool, you know? And we'll look at that. But I went into archive.org to see if it was there, but it wasn't. But this was there. The Black Family Dinner Quilt Cookbook. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, oh my God. And Faith Ringgold has a quilt on the cover. So it's health conscious recipes and food memories. Yes, I have an affiliate link if you want. Okay, Saucy Stitcher. Hello. Gamer Granny is here. Earth Girl Now. It's great to see everybody. Quilt Nerd, HTTP, quiltnerd.link/cookbook. And I'm going to show you a few pages from this cookbook. So with Dorothy I. Haight, probably, and the National Council of Negro Women Incorporated. health conscious recipes and food memories. So there are these quilts, okay, featured. It's mostly recipes and things. I was searching for Carolyn Maslubi's name, so if you see like that little purple box up there, that's what that's about. But you can see there's, it's a pretty big book. It's 228 pages. So just take a gander at some of these recipes that you have in here. And there's a dedication, Alice Walker, amazing. And then the introduction tells you how the book came to be, and this Dorothy Height is a fascinating person, and they were meeting in Washington, D.C. with this National Association. And anyway, so 1993 is when the introduction was written. They tell you about who did it. Faith Ringgold was on the development team, and Carolyn Maslumi. Okay, so if you know her, you know that she's a very big deal. So Grandma's Porch, Michael A. Cummings. He's a huge an incredible quilt artist, legendary, famous, incredible. So he's got a little story in here. He probably drew that. Anyway, so, Southern ham and shrimp soup. Let's just pick a random page for recipes from this book. Waldorf chicken salad, Bethune fruit salad. And there's all these little anecdotes, There was, wait a minute. Of course I go to the salad section. I don't care about salads. Take your salads. Yeah, okay, stuffed green peppers. Now we're talking. Meat lasagna, Salisbury steak, chili con carne. There's like New Orleans stew. Country steak with gravy and biscuits. Yes, please. Wilma's skillet hash. Okay. Hang on. Fresh ham, Guadalupe and rice, pork roast, Guadalupe and rice. There's just amazing food in here. There's like skillet cornbread, crackling cornbread. Collard greens stuffed in bell peppers. It's really great. And there's quilts throughout. So I was listening to music, and then I was looking for a book, and then I found this, and I'm gonna buy it. It looks awesome, right? Black eyed peas and rice, tangy black beans and rice. Amazing. So that's it, and it's got quilts in it, and that's the Black Family Dinner Quilt Cookbook. That's what I have to say about that. I think you should buy a copy. And I'm sorry that I am costing you money every show, because I share amazing books with you, and they're all used. Pretty much every book we talk about is used. So getting them through my affiliate link at Abe Books helps an independent bookseller, probably not the artist as much or the writer as much. I don't know. Okay, I don't know how that works. So here's our person. I have 2 chapters for you today. So in looking for music quilts and going into that whole sort of story quilt, desserts. Oh my God, desserts. Okay. No. I will do that. No, that makes perfect sense. Hold on. That's very easy. I know how to do that. It's like the easiest thing. It's the easiest thing in the world. Ha. Yes. We're going to go to desserts. Sorry. I should have thought of that. I really should have. Here, this is what we're going to do. Look at this. Look at that. How about that? See, it's taken me 3 shows a week for months and months to get that good at recovering from a change in content. Okay, let's go to the back. Desserts are in the back, right? The history of soul food. Great. I didn't even see that before. Oh, no, I didn't, because that's a different page. Okay, hang on. Well, that's great, but we want sugar. I could have looked at the table of contents. Yeah, that would be good. Okay, hang on. See, archive.org is really, really great, isn't it? It's really great. Desserts, page 151. Okay. So you get even more than we thought in this book. Cool. Apple cranberry streusel pie. Yes, I will take that. Apple pie, great. Cherry cream pie. Has anyone had cherry cream pie? Skim milk. Hold on. Gelatin, sugar, cottage cheese, cherry pie filling. Almond extract. Lemon meringue, one of my favorites. Sorry. Okay, what else we got? Old South molasses crumb pie. We're making that, Eric. Seriously. I'm taking a screenshot. Old South molasses crumb pie. Crisco, flour, light brown sugar, salt, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, cloves, baking soda, water, molasses, and egg whites. Oh, that's my kind of pie. I love pecan pie. I love chess pie. Like anything that's just sugar in a crust. I'm gonna do it. Saucy Stitcher says, oh my god. Do I have a mod in the Word and Bird Nerd? Are you seeing that Saucy Stitcher's comment got flagged because she said cherry cream pie? I'm gonna allow your comment. So okay, thank you, Word and Bird Nerd. She just allowed your comment to pass. But yeah, Saucy said that you might have to buy just for the cherry cream pie recipe. That's hilarious. Yeah, that looks beautiful. Blackberry ice cream pie. Bethune sweet potato pie. I want to look at a few more of these. Pinto bean pie. Wow. Really? Pinto bean pie. Eggs, skim milk, pinto beans. And of course, they're going to give you a recipe for perfect pinto beans, right? But maybe leave out some of the seasoning. Sugar, cinnamon, salt, ginger. Ginger and pinto beans? We love a pinto bean around here. We really do. I'm going to buy the book, but screenshots are okay. Very interesting. What if, like, we get, like, a flood of people in here and I have to change this to Cookbook Nerd? We just look at cookbooks. Pan Dowdy? Oh, yeah. It's apples. Yeah. With maple syrup. Oof. This is good. This is very, very good. Apple Brown Betty. Oh, Georgia Apple Brown Betty. Is there any other kind? Okay, we got it. What are you doing? Good stuff. Very, very, very good stuff. Quilters cookbooks. There are a number of Quilters cookbooks. I've seen them. They exist. Okay. So the quilt that we're going to start with is, so I've got an artist to share with you. She's really, really special. And then I've got some other quilts, some quilts I've been sort of obsessed with lately. We'll see, we'll see how the timing goes, but I'm in a very good mood. Yes, you have been reprimanded, Saucy Stitcher. I mean, I think your name says it all. So this quilt was made by Barbara Ann McCraw. Barbara Ann McCraw. And I'm going to read to you about her, and I'm going to zoom in on this quilt. I have some other detail shots. Oh, Penny put a cookbook together for your children. That is lovely. I know, so on Positive Threads, pinto beans in a pie is bold, but I mean, there's sweet potato pie. Although sweet potato is not a legume. Is it? No, it's a squash. This quilt is called Family Reunion Quilt, okay? And I have something written by Carolyn Maslumi about it. But I'm going to read to you about Barbara Ann McCraw first while we look at this quilt. Okay. Barbara Ann McCraw grew up, yes, you do see that, indeed. Kitty Hannah. Hello, by the way. Barbara Ann McCraw grew up on the south side of Chicago and later received her degree in English at Illinois State University in 1973. In 1986, she earned a degree in medical technology. She has worked at Texas Women's University, University of North Texas, and at UT Southwestern Medical Center, where she was promoted to pathology supervisor before retiring in 2000. Her lifelong love of sewing led from taking classes in quilting to teaching classes in quilting. She has achieved master status in quilting, and her specialty is in telling stories and making statements with fabric art. Along with teaching, she has lectured and exhibited her work in shows, galleries, universities, and museums across the U.S., Europe, and Africa. Barbara's submissions to quilt shows and exhibits have won numerous awards and acclaim. Several of her quilts are in private collections, including the Denton County African American Museum, the Denton County Courthouse Museum, the University of Michigan, and North Carolina Central University. She's been featured in like a zillion books. We'll talk about that a little bit. She's taught quilting in Tanzania and Johannesburg. So Tiki, our friend in South Africa, that's where you are. And this quilt won at Paducah, okay? It won at Paducah. I don't know which was it Best in Show? Of course, I have that information here, and I will share it with you. But this family reunion quilt has won a lot of awards, and we're going to watch a video, a short video, 4 minutes and 45 seconds, about it, okay? Or about her at Paducah at AQS, which our friend Charles, do we know anything? I haven't been following. When does Paducah, I'm out of the loop on like what's actually happening in the quilt world. I'm just stuck in the past. But Charles, our friend, has 2 quilts in the Paducah show this year. There's a vintage vintage machine museum in Tulsa. And Quilty Mouse went last week. You see the broom by the bride and groom. Yes. Like Bisa Butler's quilt, the broom jumpers, featured the broom jumping tradition in a quilt. Interesting. I'll try to grab that while we're watching the video. That's interesting. Okay, so we'll look at the quilt again, but let's take a look at this this video, because she's going to talk about it, and that's great. Okay, got it down here. Okay, it's 4 minutes 44 seconds. This is 2017.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Browning, and I'm here at AQS Quilt Week in Paducah, Kentucky, 2017, and I'm here with another winner, Barbara Ann McCraw from Denton, Texas, and you won the large
Way to go, Charles.
Stationary machine quilted. It's sponsored by AccuQuilt. I did.
Well, for you.
And so what's it feel like to be a blue ribbon winner in Paducah?
It feels amazing, like nothing I've ever experienced before. I'm so pleased, and I've gotten so much good feedback. I'm very grateful.
Well, it certainly is a beautiful quilt, but why don't you, it's a memory quilt, a
McCraw.
family quilt.
Yes, it is.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about why and how you went about making it?
Okay. I wanted to, first of all, I'm the last one in the family. I'm the oldest in the family, and so I felt that I wanted to have something for my kids and my grandchildren and great-grandchildren that I don't have. I went on Ancestry.com and I started looking around, and lo and behold, I found my great-grandparents. This was the start of the entire quilt, and I proceeded to make this. It took
I know, I love this quilt too, Kitty.
To make this.
It's so nice.
When I was done, I
I'm gonna
decided
keep
that the quilt wasn't finished, and so I proceeded to ring the entire medallion with parts of my family and parts of my remembrances.
Okay, and so are there some special blocks that you particularly like?
Well, they're all very special, but I'll try to point
She's
out
so
a few
pretty.
that I really
She's
like.
just like,
The black butterfly.
her hair is sort
I
of
put it in a lot of my quilts, and
Gibson girl.
it's supposed to be the black butterfly in Celtic and in African culture.
Yeah, the
was
lace,
a
yeah.
communicator that communicated with the slaves in America to Africa to join the families, and I believe that my mother came back to me as a black butterfly in the garden one day, and so it was really important that I put that in. And also, this block
Hey,
here
Jan.
is of my mother, and there's a little black butterfly there as well.
Okay.
These are my brothers and sisters. There were 3 boys and 3 girls.
Look at those
It was
flowers,
really hard
amazing.
to find blue rose fabric, so I colored it all with and then made them up. But each of the leaves has my brothers and sisters' date of birth and death on it. This is my leaf right here.
Oh, right. Well, you're not finished
No, I
yet.
told my son to finish that off for me one day.
And so tell us a little bit about the variety of techniques, because I see
Wow.
you have 3-dimensional and...
I do.
Ella
On
Riggs,
this one, I used 3-dimensional little rosettes to sort of give the tree
2017.
some depth. On this area right here, these are the slave cabins, and I actually used, I guess it was just a procedure of quilting with your thread on
Like
water
thread
soluble.
painting?
Yes, ma'am. And once I soaked it in and cut it out, and well, it just kind of disappeared. So I was left with these little trees. I tried a lot of techniques that I said, I want to try that one day. And so I decided to do it all in this quilt. So I've got some trapunto down here.
So, quick question. So that's first place. That's a blue ribbon. I mean, did I miss something? Is because there's different first place ribbons, but is it best of show? Like I have so many papers about her, and like I'm sure that in one of these, can somebody Google it really quick? What won Best in Show in 2017 at AQS? She got a blue ribbon for something, obviously.
Flowers and things are tribuntoed.
So you have some beads and...
I've got, yes, some three-dimensional, these are folded ruched flowers. And
so many genealogies.
I like little beads and gewgaws. I don't like a lot of crystals and things like that.
And so how did you quilt it?
I quilted it in thirds. I quilted it on my stationery. So
that is so beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's really amazing. Look at the way the thread, well, I can't really go up there, but you see up at the top, the thread is threaded. The machine is threaded, I should say. It's over my head. Bonnie! It's very good. Very good. Bonnie, you come out with some good ones.
Sewing machine. And so what I did was I spray basted all 3 layers in my driveway.
Okay.
And then I went in the house and
So it wasn't Best in Show. But she's got, I think it was machine
pulled the
stitching.
top back.
We'll probably learn
and I
it.
cut out the batting on a serpentine pattern and pulled it out.
Okay, and then
I
put
did
it
the same on
together.
the other side, and then I could roll this up really tightly and just quilt this area down here. And then I put the batting back and taped it back in with some fusible interfacing strips, quilted this area, and then went over there and quilted that area.
Well, it certainly is a beautiful quilt, and congratulations again on winning first place here in the Paducah show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And we hope that you...
That's awesome, right? So incredible. Like, I mean, have you all been to the Paducah show? Have you been? Who put a 1 in the chat? Oh yeah, put a 1 in the chat. It's not, the poll doesn't, we don't have to do a full poll, but yeah, have you been to the show? Home machine quilted. Okay, thanks, Grover. Grover, how are you? It's good to see you. I feel like Grover has been to the Paducah show a few times. I have been to the Paducah show, and it's just so overwhelming. Kenny says, I think she deserved more, not to minimize the quilting. I agree. I mean, like, I agree. Like, what quilt was better than that? Really, like, in many ways, like, best quilt ever at Paducah. So, went once. Betsy Dragonfly, good to see you. So, yeah, I mean, and I met Bonnie. We did a story on the Paducah show in Quilt Folk magazine, Kentucky, and yeah, I mean, I don't show a lot of Paducah-like quilts on the show yet because I mean, is there a Paducah quilt? Yeah, there's an AQS Paducah quilt, and it's, you know, it's got a lot of, I mean, some, the ones that win Best in Show, I mean things like just tapestries, they look like tapestries to me, and, you know, I kind of like slumming it over there in the patchwork, in the faded patchwork quilts, but, you know, I'm just joking. All quilts are great. But if people want to see more of AQS stuff, and I just have the most respect for AQS, I gravitate toward different styles of quilts. But if you want to see more, you know, just let me know, you know, put it in the Discord. Like, hey, could we do more, you know, Best in Shows at AQS, or talk about the Quilt Week more? I mean, our friend Charles, Felt Like Sweets, had 2 quilts in the show this year. So like, obviously it's all part of the mix. We love everybody, right? So, but I thought that quilt was great. So let's look at a few more from Barbara, because she is special indeed, and her quilts are really cool. So here's that quilt again. Okay, we're looking at it. All the quilts, you want all the quilts. Okay, that's good. That's good. It's good for me to keep remembering that. And I could do better on modern quilters too. You know what's interesting is when I have thought to put a modern quilt behind me for the intro quilt, I don't know if you've noticed, probably not, but I have really never put a modern quilt behind me as the intro quilt, because it feels weird. It feels weird if the person is alive. I mean, if the person is like making quilts right now, it's not that as a backdrop I'm taking ownership of anything. That's silly. But it seems like it's their moment. Like it's their quilt and it's their moment. And I'm like, you know, like in front of the quilt. I don't know. Does that make sense? I don't know. It just feels kind of strange. So I haven't done it, but I could do some more modern stuff. Okay. So just a few details of this. This is gorgeous. Oh, I was going to look for the Bisa Butler. I will. I think that would be really fun to see. Bisa Butler made a Broom Jumpers quilt. It's called the Broom Jumpers. We're doing it. Sorry. It's just the perfect moment. Broom Jumpers, Bisa Butler. And can anyone share about the broom jumping tradition? Anyone want to fill us in on that? It's pretty interesting. Okay, I'm opening the image. I didn't notice the broom before. If I had, I would have put this in there for sure, but it's just great. You're also observant and knowledgeable. You're nerds is what I'm trying to say. Barbara is charming. Have you met her, Grover? You might have said that actually earlier. Gamer Granny's trying to get motivated. By the way, can we just all appreciate Gamer Granny's name? Like, it's very good. Sword jumping. Oh, I like that. Susan R. Michael's husband is asking about sword jumping. So Bonnie, that's funny. Very good. So are there quilt pictures in the Black Family Dinner cookbook? Yes, there are. Faith Ringgold, Michael Cummings. Yes, there are quilt pictures in that. In the introduction, they don't say a lot about the quilt part of the cookbook, as far as I could tell, but it is, yes, there are quilts in that book. Okay, Felt Like Sweets and Word and Bird Nerd are on it. Charles says, brooms were and are waved over the heads of marrying couples to ward off spirits. The couple would often, but not always, jump over the broom at the end of the ceremony. Jumping over the broom symbolized the wife's commitment or willingness to clean the courtyard of the new home she had just joined. Look at this by Bisa Butler. Wow. And yep, Word and Bird Nerd follows it up. Exactly. It's now most widespread, this custom among African Americans and Black Canadians, popularized in the 1970s by the novel and miniseries Roots. Interesting. But it originated in mid-19th century as a practice in antebellum slavery in the United States. Fascinating. Some Irish weddings as well. Interesting. So, The Broom Jumpers by Bisa Butler. You may have heard of her. And then this lovely couple with their broom. Yeah, the lace. Oh, she's just great. So anyway, so we've seen this quilt. We're looking at the details. It's called Family Reunion Quilt. And as I show you a few more, I saw these wonderful. Look at this. This is called Out of Africa. As I was putting things together for you, her website is quiltsasart.com, quiltsasart.com. And she has pictures. Many of the pictures I'll show you as I read to you her artist statement. Many of the pictures came from her website, and there's more quilts there that you can see. A lot of them were too low res to use for our purposes, but very few had dates on them, like a year made, so I can't really tell you that necessarily. Some of them had measurements, not all of them. This, I think, is sublime. So here's what Barbara says. This is her artist statement as I go through some of the quilts for you here. Quote, I grew up in a Chicago tenement, most in awe of how my mother took secondhand scraps of fabric, furniture, and hand-me-downs and turned them into a palace of a place for us to live. It might not have really been a palace, but in my mind, it was. My artwork is most influenced by my imagination, the encouragement I receive from my friends, and the memory of my mom. Look at that quilt. Oh my God. I mean, they're both amazing. This family reunion is just, it's like a wedding cake. I mean, it looks like a beautiful confection, you know? Oh, here we are talking about dessert again. The colors in my head are vivid, recalling movement. Okay, I'm not looking at the chat. I hope everything's okay. People are stabbing people. Oh, Lord. The colors in my head are vivid, recalling movement, nature, and the beauty of people. I have great respect for traditional quilting and love to imagine and learn the history behind the patterns. But my true interest is in creating one-of-a-kind, uniquely designed quilts using more contemporary techniques. I feel a communal joy in working with other women, and a personal joy in creating articles of expression and comfort. I am influenced by my need to express my imagination, my heritage, my vision, and influenced also by my need to offer something of myself through community service. Oh, wow. Oh, okay, yeah. For me, the art of quilt making allows me to accomplish all of this. I'm going to go back and read that again. I am influenced by my need to express my imagination, my heritage, my vision, and my need to offer something of myself through community service. Okay, big ideas, big goals, big needs, driving like your life kinds of big needs. And for me, the art, she says, for me, the art of quilt making allows me to accomplish all of this. I'm telling you. That's why we like this. The quilts just offer us all the things. They do. They offer us all the things. You know, video games, like, totally cool, man. Like Twitch, all you guys and girls playing your games, like, totally get it. But, you know, and community services, that's actually true. It's actually true. People raise a lot of money for charity through video games. Like, I totally get it. It's totally cool. But, like, you know, quilts they're pretty special. They're pretty special objects. Not everything can give you all the things that a quilt can give you. This, you know, well, see, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh no, video games do give you community, community service. Well, can they tell you about your heritage? That one, you'd have to convince me. You'd have to convince me. By the way, I recognize this fabric. That's Brandon Madeley. I think it looks like beads or corn, multicolored corn, but it is actually fabric. Some of you may recognize it. I think there's a picture of Ms. Craw, yeah, with her quilt. That's fabulous. I love that one. Love it. I love it. Okay, so this this is great. I've got some more to read to you. I've got a couple things. She has things to say on her website. Sorry, her picture there. About many of her quilts. When you click on them, she has a couple of sentences about them, so you can read that. Yeah, incredible sense of color, 1,000%. Raffle Waffle. Have I said hi to you yet? I don't know. Yeah, art, video games. Yeah, I mean, I just shouldn't. What do I know about video games? Look at this. Look at this. Oh, look how it's until I zoom in, it sort of looks like it's hanging in space. You know, it's really hanging in space. I've got the front and the back. Hang on, I want to get. Why does the chat feel like it's like a little bit too intruding tonight? I don't know. We have to have the chat on the screen. We have to work with it. It's Twitch. I want people to be able to see the chat later. So we figure it out. We're used to it. Okay. So we looked at Yvonne Porcella and her work. I know what I can do. Hang on. Yeah. Very good. Look at this. Huh, how about that? Oh. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, I know. That's why you pay me the big bucks, people. Okay, so the best in show, the the family reunion quilt also won a bunch of other awards. That's Eric blowing his nose, by the way. It won a bunch of other awards. She beat Carol Breyer-Fallert in this competition. She won the World Quilt Competition number 23 with that quilt. This was from an article in the Denton, Texas paper in 2019. She won the World Quilt Competition, the 23rd World Quilt Competition. Anyway, I just saw somebody say play the gospel choir, so I did. Okay, so this is called Gospel. Hang on. This is called the Gospel Truth Coat, and this is the back of it, and then this is the front of it. How about that? What do you think about that? Yes, there's Molly, there's a world quilt competition. That's on my notes. What is that about? World quilt competition. World quilt competition. I mean, that's, yeah, who runs that? I'm still obsessed with the Quilters Constitutional Congress, or some sort of consortium or something like that we read about in Quilters Newsletter magazine from 1978 or something, or 86. The Gospel Truth Coat. This is what Barbara says about it. This full-length coat was commissioned by Anita Knox, Knox, then curate of the Kansas City African American Museum, for an exhibition called The Griots of Fiber. Griot? You guys know that word, griot. Griot, the storyteller, right? Griot or griot. This is a completely original design and machine quilted by myself. The coats were to tell a story about African American music. I chose gospel music for this piece, reminiscent of my days as a little girl, thrilled to listen to my mother sing in the church choir. And this won a bunch of awards. Pretty much every one of the quilts in her gallery at her website, Quilts as Art, it's noted, like, all the awards they won. So this is the back. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that beautiful? Hey, Threadis. So it's Barbara Ann McCraw. Barbara Ann McCraw, McCraw. And yeah, we've just been looking at her work. You know, she's kind of the featured guest tonight. Let me do this, make that bigger. So this quilt is really cool. This is called the Loving Quilt. And the Loving Quilt, hang on. McCraw, now this is writing about this quilt. And I'll get a little bit closer in here. Like that. Same quilter. Yes, Threadist. Exactly. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I didn't understand your question, but your question makes sense. This is writing about this quilt from, where did I get this? Okay. McCraw created the Loving Quilt in 2012 for the exhibition And Still We Rise, which I believe Carolyn Meslemy curated, a retrospective commemorating significant moments in African American history. The subject of this quilt is the 1924 Virginia Racial Integrity Act, which banned interracial marriage. This quilt tells the story of Mildred and Richard Loving, a mixed-race couple who were legally married in Washington, D.C. in 1958. After moving to Virginia, they were arrested and sentenced to prison. You may have heard of this story. It's the Loving. You know, it's famous because their freaking name was, Loving. It's part of what made them famous. Their convictions were upheld through a series of challenges in the Virginia state courts, but the Lovings appealed their case to the U.S. Supreme Court. On June 12, 1967, Chief Justice Earl Warren overturned their convictions and wrote in the unanimous opinion, sometimes we get it right, that, quote, under our Constitution, the freedom to marry or not marry a person of another race resides with the individual and cannot be infringed by the state. Yes, unquote. That's the right answer. I mean, I just had to say, approved. With that decision, interracial marriage became legal in the United States. Church music is, like, definitely appropriate, right, for that moment. So it's just beautiful, isn't it? Look at this work, and it's a heart. I didn't even notice that until now. It's beautiful. Did you mention this case last week? You did. You did. Why did that come up? Why did it come up? And why? That doesn't make... It's like not even a thing. Like basically this show has a ghost in it. It's friendly, fabulous ghost. And at this point, it's like if your house is haunted by a great ghost, like at a certain point, you're just like, it's the ghost. Like weird things, weird coincidences happen in the show, every single show. And of course, now we're looking for them, but it's pretty weird that the Loving Supreme Court case would come up and then come up again, randomly. Yeah, exactly. So now, exactly, Kenny. So now, yes, everyone remembers. So now we just, I don't even need to mention it. It's like, oh yeah, here's the ghost. Here's the Quilt Nerd ghost. Here's the ghost of Estelle Witherspoon, perhaps. No. She's our taskmaster. Our ghost has to be the ghost of someone else, like Marie Webster or something like that. So this is another work by her. And yes, there's a movie, The Loving Quilt, or The Loving movie. Who did that movie? Saucy Stitcher mentioned it. It's called Loving. Okay, great. This is called the Piano Dancing Coat. There's one other garment I have by her here. This jacket was later added. This is Barbara speaking. This jacket was later added to the Griots of Fiber exhibit. She says, I awoke from a dream and just had to make it. It's an original design, machine quilted by me, and embellished with black suede figures, cool suede, dancing on piano keys. And it's won a bunch of awards, chosen for an exhibit at Kansas City African American Museum, and an exhibit in Texas. I mean, look at that. That's so great. Raffle Waffle, you watched the movie Loving today? Okay, that freaks me out. Like, seriously. That's weird, okay? That's weird. Did you really watch it? Like, I'm getting, like, verklempt now. I mean, really, like, or just, like, I'm spooked. I don't feel good. I mean, in the best way. Did you really watch? Oh, the last episode. Oh, my God. Right, the interracial couple. That's right, Raffle Waffle. Okay. Raffle Waffle watched the last episode of this show today. I thought she watched the movie Loving today, and I was going to have to go and gather myself together. Okay. Serendipitous. Okay. So thanks everybody for catching up, with the replay. Sometimes you can't catch the live and you got to watch the replay, or sometimes you can't stay here for the whole live and you got to catch the replay. I know what that's like. And so, yeah, so I get it. And I really appreciate you catching up on the show. That's great. It means you really, you want to see what we're doing over here, which feels really good. I don't have anything about this except it's a handbag that she made that I think is very beautiful. And yeah, the other things I have to show you are her quilts, but, I mean, isn't that great? It's really great. Yeah. Take a deep breath. Exactly. Thanks for watching that. That's great. Gamer Granny. And share it with your friend. I mean, share more of these videos on YouTube are coming where I excerpt things like the Century of Progress show. I'm going to cut that out of the tape, the recording of the show, put it on YouTube. So if you want to share Quilt Nerd with your friends, you don't have to be like, here's a 2-hour show. It's a thing. We love it. You'll get it later. It's a live stream. Some people aren't used to live streams yet in their life. But so it's a little daunting. Somebody gives you a 2-hour video to watch. But hopefully you'll have some of these shorts, Quilt Nerd shorts, you can share with people and say, you should check this out. This is really fun. Interesting. Pamela says, I'm pretty sure in the longer YouTube video of this artist, yes, there's a longer version. She says that it was illegal for interracial marriages in a number of states at that time. I was unable to verify if it was true, but I was astounded to hear it. And that's true, Padma. Thank you for mentioning it, because we watched the just under 5-minute AQS video with the interview with Barbara and Bonnie. And there's like a director's cut that's like 15 minutes. So that's really interesting. I love this. It reminds me of Radka Donnell, who I'm going to present on. Interesting quilter. We've talked about her on this show long ago, from Bulgaria. She's passed away. Anyway, but I'm going to present on her on Wednesday for the Patchwork and Prose Book of the Month program with Quilt Folk. But I just love this. I love these big pieces. I mean, have you, a big piece quilt? Have I ever done it? No. Does it mean it's, it's not easy? It's not necessarily like an easy quilt, but I mean, her family reunion quilt took a lot longer than this one. You could put together a pretty cool quilt with like lots of, big expanses of fabric. I love these quilts when I see them. I love them. And this does look like Radka Donnell. She did similar things, you know, these wide pieces of fabric, like this one too. I love it. This one, I think I have a little bit about this. Yeah. Lady in the Moon. Barbara says, the lady quilt is the result of a self-taught class. I was teaching myself how to set a circle into a rectangular piece of fabric. You know, like you do. I teach myself like how to, you know, program a button to do that. And she's like, how do I put a circle into a rectangular piece of fabric? And she says, after I succeeded in doing it, I thought it needed something. I found an African print of this beautiful lady, gave her a new dress, and designed the quilt around it. Pretty cool. Spoiler alert. Spoiler. Look at that. Look at the, oh, I love that. I love that. See, and she did a little half square triangle action. I mean, quarter square triangle action over there. Beautiful. Okay, so I think what is, oh yeah, oh sorry, I had some detail shots of the Loving quilt, but there's this one. Okay, there's this one. I don't think I have anything about this. I feel like I might have seen this quilt though. I might have seen this quilt in an exhibit in South Carolina. I could be wrong. But here's one other thing. I want to read as we look at these last images. I want to read something written by, yeah, totally. I wanted to read this about, yes, Kenny, you are approved. From Carolyn Maslumi, who wrote about the family reunion quilt, but she says some really nice things about Barbara. So these are the images that I have left for you while I read this. So this is Carolyn Maslumi. No artistic quote, no artistic form is more closely associated with African American culture than quilt making, representing skill, aesthetic beauty, and utilitarian need. Moreover, for African Americans, the quilt became a covert expression of resistance within the context of storytelling. That's a powerful sentence. In this way, African American women found an outlet for their emotions, adversities, and triumphs. Under brutal conditions of slavery, quilters helped create strategies for survival, as well as an interpretive window on the Black experience in America. Although many slave quilters could not read or write, they left compelling cultural documents about the tragedy and humiliation that marked their lives. Denied freedom but possessed of artistic genius, that's that close-up, sorry we looked at that, they gave voice to the voiceless, transcended suffering, reclaimed history, and transformed the future of their descendants. Van E. Hillard summarizes this dynamic by writing, quote, as the Negro spiritual I shall not be moved reflects a tree planted by the water. Good timing for this quilt, right? The quilt shall not be moved as a tradition of defiance and dialectical response to social and political circumstances, unquote. Hillard adds, quote, the rhetoric of the quilt exposes the systems of domination and illustrates the ways in which marginalized groups contest their experiences and express their meanings of the world. The quilt represents a ritualized practice of connection making, unification, and harmonizing, unquote. Damn, this guy, like, I don't know this guy, Van E. Hillard. I really like nerdy stuff about quilts. I'm gonna look him up. Oh, let me tell you, you might be interested as well. One beautiful thing after another, Sonia, 1,000%. Let's see, Van E. So Carolyn Maslumi just quoted Van E. Hillard. Very interesting. This is the Black Butterfly quilt. It is, right? Yeah, this is Black Butterfly. This is the Black Butterfly quilt she talked about her mom. This quilt, so I'm going to read you. This quilt was created after seeing a black butterfly appear in my garden on 3 consecutive days. Look at that window. I mean, that's wild. That's so amazing that she designed that and executed it like that. Barbara says, to me, the black butterfly was a sign that my mother, recently deceased, had returned to give me precious knowledge that she would always be with me. Okay, and then just to finish up, Carolyn Maslumi said, the masterful quilts of Barbara McCraw follow in the footsteps of our earliest crafters of aesthetic genius. Quilt makers, former slaves Harriet Powers Harriet Tubman, and Elizabeth Hobbs Keckley all made treasured quilts as artistic expression. McCraw's hand-appliqued quilt family reunion took 2.5 years to complete and was quilted on her home sewing machine. Wow. In Paducah, Kentucky, the family reunion won first place in the Masters Division and Best of Show at AQS Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it did get a Best in Show at Paducah in Michigan. And it's the first such accomplishment in the United States by an African-American quilt maker. Through the eye of her quilt needle, I hope Barbara McCraw continues to be a voice for the African-American experience through cloth. Pretty cool, huh? Well, so it's a great question. Yeah. So I think that the story quilt is, I read that Carolyn Maslumi said about story quilts, and like I should get it. I should get the thing before I quote it. But she was something about how, people associate the improvisationally pieced Gee's bend style quilt, with African Americans, which of course that makes sense. It is, that is a style of quilt that was made by African Americans. It's also a style of quilt, the everyday quilt, breeches quilt, has been made by other people. Quilts are made by Americans. There are different regional, there are differences regionally sometimes, whatever. And culturally, sure. But I remember Carolyn Maslumi saying a lot of, most of the quilts that are being made now by African Americans sort of are these story quilts. Story quilts are popular among certain cultural groups or whatever. I see a lot of story quilts too, made by African Americans. It's not improvisationally pieced. The modern quilt makers, whatever that group, the demographic of that group, the improvisationally pieced quilts are coming from there more than they're coming from, the guild, that the African American Quilt Guild women that I met in Detroit, Michigan. It's a huge guild, amazing. Most of their quilts were story quilts with patchwork, of course, but applique and stuff. It was really interesting. It's really interesting how that's not the case anymore. Anyway, so let's see. Oh, Bonnie, when my daughter smiles at me, it's like a black butterfly of my grandma. Oh, Bonnie. I was thinking about your daughter, but I don't know how old your daughter is. Anyway, church music. The duck is like the happiest thing I have on the soundboard, really, in a lot of ways. So anyway, that makes me smile. So, okay, so yeah, I do. I'm going to show you some of these. So I'm really kind of obsessed these days with Quilt National, with the quilts at Quilt National. And the Quilt National show is, well, I have a little bit about the Quilt National show. The, oh yeah. Oh. Threadist, I like your question and I will address it. Quilt National is a show that was started the year of my birth. I just remember it because I was born in 1979 and it was started in 1979, Quilt National. And I'm going to read to you about it from their website. But I always associate it with Nancy Crow because Nancy Crow was one of the people who started it. And it's in Ohio and it's every year and it's at the Dairy Barn. And it's like a renovated dairy barn. I've never been. I really want to go. And I think that that's going to happen soon. When is it? Can one of you Google when it is? Is it in the fall? No. Anyway, Quilt National focuses on art quilts, contemporary studio art quilts. Nancy Crow was one of the people who started it. And there's a book every year about, I think, there's like a lot of books about Quilt National, the quilts that appear from year to year. Like this book, which was 1985. Okay, this is 1985, like my jam these days in terms of quilt history. So this is Quilts, the State of an Art, published by, I think by AQS. Hang on, I'm going to go to this one. No, I can't. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that yet because I don't have the book with me. These are scans I did before I came up to the lake house. But anyway, this was published. I will have an affiliate link for you in a minute. It was published in 1985, and these are quilts that won at Quilt National. And it happens every other year. Thank you, Susan. Excellent. 2023, great. Thanks, Padma, that's great. Yeah, where in Ohio? I would like to know as well, Bonnie. So if somebody could find out when and where. Saucy Stitcher loves the Art Deco vibe of this quilt, same. So here's what Quilt National is all about, okay? Quilt National, purpose and philosophy. In the late 1970s, Athens, Ohio. Look at that. We got it. Oh, and Kenny says, as an aside, have you considered pitching a lecture for TwitchCon on art and technology, building on your journey to becoming a streamer? I have thought about pitching to TwitchCon. TwitchCon is coming up. There's an Amsterdam one in July, and then there's a San Diego one in October. And I think the window has closed for those talks, and I saw the call for them. I did, and I want to go to TwitchCon in October for sure. But I didn't know quite what I would present on. I will speak at TwitchCon like 1,000% within the next year, but by next year I'll totally speak at TwitchCon. I have every intention of doing that, and it would definitely be about presenting non-gaming content on Twitch and being in this different space and how my audience and I are pioneers. That's right, pioneers. No. And so yes, but I won't do it in 2022, but maybe 2023 is the year I go to Quilt National and TwitchCon and speak at both. Anyway, so back to this. And by the way, this quilt was by, it's by Elaine Plogman in 1985, and it's called Off to See the Wizard. Isn't that great? I think that is a very, very cool quilt. Look at the fabric. Like this fabric on the edge, this like floral purple and pink. I mean, could that be more 1985? And the paisley and this hunter green. I mean, it's so the fabric of my youth, when my mom was like making quilts, and but it's like, look, it looks so contemporary. I mean, it is, the color scheme is what it is, but it's so cool. I just love it. Road trip. Hell yeah, Bonnie. Hell yeah. This is very interesting. So I'm going to go through some of these and read to you. And if you want to look at anything else, let me know. Because this is sort of a slideshow as I share with you about Quilt National. In the late 1970s in Athens, Ohio, this area was home to numerous talented artists. Included among this group were Nancy Crow, Francoise Barnes, and Virginia Randalls. These and other area artists were using fabric to create works that were pieced, layered, stitched, and stuffed. These works were quilts, quote unquote. Oh, hey, other Mary Kate. Quilts by virtue of their structure, though they were intended to be viewed on a vertical plane, aka the wall. The original designs and use of innovative techniques and color combinations made them unacceptable to the organizers of traditional quilt shows, like the one we just saw, like Paducah. Sorry, I've got some of the book scanned there. Okay. The traditional quilt show people were more interested in beautifully crafted bed covers with recognizable patterns. I don't even know what's going on here, you guys, with this quilt. I mean, is it little like paillettes almost of fabric? I think it is. It looks like ruffledy stuff. Threadis is getting dizzy. The only exhibit opportunities for these artists who were doing something different were in mixed media fiber shows alongside baskets and weavings. Crow and Barnes recognized the need for an appropriate showcase for what are now known as art quilts. Sorry. Oh, so great. Carol Keller. This is really interesting. This quilt, by the way, is 38 by 43 inches. And I can go back to some of the comments from the artists if you like. I think I will on a couple of them. So Crow and Barnes were just two of a dedicated core of volunteers who decided to organize an exhibit devoted entirely to this relatively new breed of contemporary quilt. Where's the block here? I mean, I don't think there is one. It's just these different pieces. Is that cool or what? It is pieced, Quilty Mouse. Amazing. Ooh, Threadis. That book is so good. Fortunately, this need for this show coincided with the efforts of area artists and art lovers to preserve an abandoned dairy barn. Built in 1914 as a farm complex situated on grounds. Sorry. Just leave that there. Situated on grounds. Belonging to the state-owned mental health facility, interesting, the barn had served as part of the activities therapy program. Artists and others in the Athens community felt the barn had potential for a second life. This quilt, by the way, is Ellen Oppenheimer. And Ellen Oppenheimer, we have to talk about her at some point because she made the quilt for the New Year's Eve show. She made a quilt called New Year's Eve Party. And it was like that ghost, the ghost of Marie Webster, made it happen that day. We had a New Year's Eve quilt for the New Year's show, and it was made by Ellen Oppenheimer. And now I'm seeing her everywhere. So she was one of these early Quilt National people. Oh, that's good. Oh, Susan. So Quilt National was intended to demonstrate the transformations taking place. Wow, look at this. The transformations taking place in the world of quilting. Its purpose was then and still is to carry the definition of quilting far beyond its traditional parameters and to promote quilt making as what it has always been, an art form. Now this, you see what's going on here? The notches, Kenny, I am so glad that you asked. The notches are for the bedposts. And just last night, I gave a lecture to some lovely women in Australia. I had a gig last night. And I showed an old quilt, very old quilt, that was shaped this way. And it's for the bedposts. It's notches cut out for the bedposts. And I loved to see this because I was like, I keep saying people ought to make quilts like that again because, you know, if you have bedposts, it's still the same kind of deal. You know, it still works, right? To put nicely on your bed and not have to stuff corners of your quilt into the bed. So I've said like people should bring that back. And here in 1985, Carol Gerson did. Very interesting. So Quilt National, it's a thing. It's a whole thing. And people go there. And I know that people go there. And I know that, sorry, let me get this over here. I know that the Quilt Museum, the International Quilt Museum, definitely goes there every year, and they purchase quilts from Quilt National for the collection. You know, these are very famous, very accomplished artists who exhibit there. Jan Myers Newberry, we've talked about her several times just because she's such a huge presence in the early art quilt world and now too. She says, Galaxial Forepatch is a very formal piece in a long series of gridworks, exploring color and light relationships. She says, however, the piece reflects some new exploration of dyeing technique, a deliberate mottling, M-O-T-T-L-I-N-G, mottling of the color within the controlled gradations, achieving a more organic effect. Can you believe that? Right? I mean, it's just wild. Isn't it amazing, Myra? I mean, I can zoom in, but really, this is about the whole thing. I mean, what? All of her stuff is like this. I mean, that's what she does is this incredible color gradations, and she's hand dyeing everything, which makes perfect sense. Otherwise, how could you do it? But I mean, her like acuity with dyeing and color placement is just, it's, I can't believe it. This is amazing. It looks like it's shining. Yeah, like it's bent. This is a quilt to show people who don't understand. Like, what quilts are now, you know, or what they can do. I mean, it's just like that. What? Are you kidding me? And I don't know, there's pretty amazing quilts coming out of the modern quilt sort of community genre area of the quilt universe. I don't know, like this to me like is very, it's an optical illusion basically. And whenever I critique something or compare something like Paducah show to Quilt National show, or quilts in 1985 to quilts in 20, you know, it's never, I'm just comparing. We're talking about this whole deal. So I don't know. I just feel like you can say something wrong and like, I don't know, people get upset, but this is not, that's not the point. There's just a specific kind of thing that Jan did. And I would say, you know, this quilt too, like, I don't know, maybe it's the prints, maybe it's the printed cloth that is so different than so many modern quilts that we would see at QuiltCon or whatever. I mean, part of the modern quilt aesthetic is the solid colors. And in the 1980s, that was not as much of a, well, it wasn't sort of dictated, you know, that you needed to do that. So Jan Myers-Newberry is doing solid colors, but she's doing this amazing stuff. Anyway, I think it's fabulous. This one's great. Look, corset. It's corsets. Because I don't have the book here, you guys, that's why I scanned the stuff in. I mean, anyway, sorry, I have to read to you the thing and then I'll zoom in on the quilt. Sue Trent made this. It's made out of corsets. Crazy quilt of corsets and girdles, pieced and sewn together by machine, tufted with pink ties. Quilted by machine, 75 by 90. My work focuses on images of women and images of who we are as American people. While my cloth constructions are often but not always in the form of quilts, they always combine women's traditional methods of fabric construction and decoration with critical perspectives on the American identity. Because I know you will all want to buy this book, I'm going to zoom in on the corsets and get that affiliate link for you. Because you know what? Now it's kind of like an obsession with me. I have to do it. Okay. Yeah, corsets. Crazy, right? Totally crazy. Quilt National. Yeah. I mean, have been a Madonna fan from a very young age. So, hang on. So this works for me, is what I'm trying to say. This is working for me. Quilts, State of an Art, 1985. I'm sure people are asking me questions. I will, or I want to read what you're saying here. Okay. Create, generated, excellent. Sometimes I have everything done before the show. Sometimes I have most of it done. Quilt National 85. That's what it's going to be. Cool. Okay, now I have that for you. So if you want to get this book, you should get it by clicking that link. And then I'll get some money. Corsets. Yes, the Century of Progress red and blue quilt. Oh yeah, that's right. There was some sort of lacy, I mean, yeah, petticoat vibe last show too. It's true. I really like this. I was gonna that's true. I said I was gonna go topless. God, wouldn't that be crazy if I showed up to the show and I was like in some kind of state of undress? It would be so weird. If I was like, not like, I mean, obviously, but like if I was like dressed really provocatively and it was like, whoa, like what's going on? It would just be such a weird vibe. Okay, maybe I'm getting tired. I should probably go. Yeah. Oh, it's 9:42. How does that happen? Oh, wait, we started at 8. Okay, I thought we started at 7. That would be intense. Okay, I've got 2 more for you. I love this one because of the traditional element. Okay, I'll get closer in on here, and but first I should tell you it's Ann Rode made it from Berkeley, California. It's called Basket Bazaar. 50.5 by 50.5. She says Basket Bazaar uses a traditional basket pattern, and she says I give it a contemporary feeling. Of course, I mean this is kind of taking the Jan Newberry gradation, ombre, if you will, kind of serving that look, right? But then it's this basket quilt. And at QuiltCon this year, you remember there was that one of the winners was that Cherry's basket quilt. And some people just thought, "Oh, what a scandal, you know, because a basket block is as traditional as it gets." Yeah, I'm dying. Yeah, if I was dressed strange, you'd wonder about my mental health. Totally. I mean, we can all have our different sides of our personality, but it just would be inappropriate. Why am I even talking about this? I don't know. Oh, it's because we looked at corsets. It totally makes sense. We looked at a quilt made of corsets. So we're talking about dressing like Madonna. That's totally fine. Makes sense. But this is really great. I really like this because this quilt, to me, it's kind of this moment. I mean, it's a very good example of like what was happening to quilts, you know, in this time. It's like, holy cow. Okay. You know, this quilt did not exist in, you know, 1925. It couldn't have possibly. I mean, we saw some pretty awesome quilts from 1930s. You know, there's ingenuity and innovation always, but you know, it's like kind of it's very a la mode. Okay, and then this one is really something. Elaine O'Neill, Memory Garden. It's cyanotype, okay? Blueprinting on cotton, 62 by 80. And let me just read this thing and then I'll zoom in because I know you can't even tell like what your life is right now. She says, my work in photography has often involved collage and montage. When I lived in Ohio, I became interested in quilting. About the same time, I found out about emulsions that would enable me to print photographs on cloth, and I found that patchwork was the most natural way for me to work on a larger scale. Dana, hi, yes, color wash quilts. This is pretty cool. Yes, Charles. Yes, they are hexies. You know what I would say if I had to do that many hexies? I haven't played her yet tonight. I haven't done this one either. Okay. Yeah, hexies, look at this. Cyanotype printed cotton. Hexies. Yeah. I mean, are you kidding me? This I've never seen a quilt like this. This is ridiculous. You know, making changes to grow the channel, like I want us to all make more friends. And I also want quilt makers to see this stuff. I'm not the only person who's going to share awesome stuff with them. People are going to, they got quilts, they have eyes, they look around. They don't need me to show them everything. But listen, I've got this is a deep cut, okay? This quilt is a deep cut from a Quilt National book, 1985. And like, I just want people to take this stuff and just like do a cyanotype quilt, you know, do a hexie quilt that is just bananas, you know, like that. Or take this idea and, you know, and do something with it. It's just so exciting. I've never seen a quilt like this. And maybe you have, you know, it's not like I've seen everything. But okay, cyanotype it's a blue, isn't it using light and dye, right? It's like using the sun. Isn't it using the sun? God, somebody help. I won't Google it because I know so many of you are so good at doing it. That's pretty cool, Mary Kate. Indeed, indigo dyeing. I mean, cyanotype. Yeah, photosensitive fabric. Okay, exactly. So if you put Kenny, if you put like a leaf over this particular, you know, this cyanotype, either paper or fabric, or you put like a leaf and then you put it out in the sun. You put the leaf and the fabric out in the sun. Like when you take it, you know, after time, you can lift the leaf off and you have like a white, it's a relief. Like it's kind of a relief. Blue ink and sun dyed. So yeah, so that's kind of that. What does it look like? It looks like a sapphire. Like a sapphire has been, like you're looking in. That's what it's like. It's like you're looking into a sapphire encrusted necklace or something, and it's shining and shimmering, and it's just cool. Oh, interesting. So on. That's great. Yes, Kenny, exactly. Someone once told me, says so on positive, that if you don't like a fabric, cut it smaller, and this is what I see in it. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Yes, resist dying. Susan Michael says, that's why it bothers me when artists say they are transforming quilt making. Oh my God, quilters own this shit all day long. Blam! I could not agree more. It's a very good point. Very good point. Everybody's got love for you, Susan. Okay, with that comment. So, so that's what I got for you, everybody. You know, a cookbook, a genius, music, great music. Maybe I'll pull that music up. And crisps, you know, always, as always. I'm gonna do this. Ooh, here. Oh, look, this is my treat. I get to be in front of the sapphire. And there's the jazz. There's the jazz to close out the show. So I will put in the so I'll put in the Discord about the show schedule change. We're going to be having the show on Tuesday night, which is a very popular night, and Saturday, which is a popular night. Thursday was, you know, it was okay, but it was like, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do to serve the show and you? And Thursday was the one to go, so I can focus on all the other things. And it was funny. I told Eric, I was like, there were a number of people in the chat when I made the announcement last show. You know, they were like, "This is good. Like, we didn't want you to burn out." You know, I was like, I think people were afraid I was going to burn out. But it's probably right. It's hard to see burnout when it's happening to you, you know, so I don't think I was going to burn out, but maybe I would have. Anyway, Molly, oh Lord, I was buried under some hand quilting, but the quilts tonight were super. Molly, I'm so glad you were watching, and I'm glad you thought they were super. I agree. And there's going to be more good stuff on Tuesday night. So, thank you for coming, and yeah, wait a minute, but what I was going to do instead of this, let me just do it. Let me just do it. Because I know that I can do it without getting a copyright ping if I just do like a few little tiny bits of this music. Hold on. Bill Doggett, Honky Tonk Part 1. Floyd Dixon, Hey Bartender. Okay, so I'll make a playlist and put it in the Discord. Thank you. Okay, last thing, this is so important. Thank you to my subscribers. I appreciate you so much. It just means the world to me, and it gives me wind in my sails. And it's not about, you know, equipment and stuff. Like some people, you know, like it's about all of the subscription, you know, all of that stuff goes into the mix of making the show. But the thing that it helps me the most with is like believing in this project. So thank you for subscribing. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you get a free Twitch subscription every month. So you can use it for this show, and then it doesn't cost you anything. So I get encouraged, and you are like, you know, Jeff Bezos, like, is helping you out, and you just, you know, you don't even have to talk to him, you know, which is probably good. But you have to do it every month. You got to go in and click that little thing. So if you've forgotten to do that, make sure to do that. And also, thank you to my mods and just people in this community. I value you tremendously. So I will see you on Tuesday night. Happy weekend. Hey, it's okay. You're so stealth. Okay. You're so stealth. Best to you all. And I will see you soon. And be safe and be good, but not too good. Okay? Okay.